Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Eleanor Pryor, and I'm super excited today because Beth Maus is here with me, and she agreed to let me interview her. She is one of the people that I follow, and she's like one of my mentors when it comes to selling on Amazon. And I love that she has several things like me. She's a single mom, and she sells on Amazon full time. She works from home, and she homeschools. I don't homeschool. I don't have the patience for that, but she homeschools. And then also, she is really niche in a specific category. I always stutter when I say specific, so you have to forgive me. But she is in this specific category niche, and it's toys. So I feel like I love this because, Toys R Us is like one of our favorite places to source. But most people don't realize that just because it's not Q4, that toys are still profitable. I stutter a lot if you haven't noticed that, so we're okay with that. And that's the beauty of webinars and this face-to-face interaction. So everybody will get to know us, and that's another thing that's really fun. So that's why I wanted to have Beth here. And I have a list of questions for Beth. So I'm kind of putting her a little bit on the hot seat, but I'm really excited that she's here. So welcome, and I'm so thrilled you said yes.
Thank you. This is like my first actual interview. I've done some screencasts and things online, but I've never actually been interviewed before. So I'm a little nervous, but I'll be okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine. See, I stuttered all over the place, so we're good to go. Okay, so my first question for Beth is, I would love to hear your Amazon story and your why.
Okay. I actually started selling on Amazon about 5 years ago. I was married then, and my husband and I had lost our jobs in 2008. And so for a couple of years, we kind of floundered around trying to find some work that would support us and our 5 kids who were all at home at the time. And so I realized I was trying to do something from home, and so I had started selling on eBay. And I found that it was a lot of work and not very much profit, actually, for me, for what I was doing. I know some people are really good at it. It just wasn't really my thing. And so I tried it, and I didn't really do that well. And so I ended up getting a job as a merchandiser at Kroger, which a merchandiser is the person who kind of goes in and moves all your favorite stuff around to a different shelf so you can't find it. So I was often getting accosted by people, and actually had an elderly woman cry on me one day because I moved her stuff to another spot and she couldn't find it anymore. So, it was my job, so I kind of had to, but yeah, that was interesting. And so I made about $10 an hour and worked, I'd say probably 20 to 30 hours a week, but I had that all compressed into about 2 to 3 days, and then I would go in on Monday, work 10 or 12 hours, come home exhausted, and then the next day, Tuesday, try to hurry up and catch up on homeschooling and laundry and grocery and dishes and cooking and all of that stuff that comes with raising a family, when all I really wanted to do was sleep all day because I was exhausted. And then I had to go to bed super early because I had to get up really early in the morning to go work. And so it was just this vicious cycle of me being exhausted and way behind all the time. But then one morning I was getting up at 4:30 to leave for my job. It was completely dark, and I stepped off my driveway and sprained my ankle so hard that it caused an avulsion fracture, which you guys can look that up on Google. It's really gross. So I ended up completely, immediately out of a job. I had no benefits, no workers' comp, no health insurance, no nothing. We had gotten into a lot of debt because, like a lot of families who go through times like that, we took out cash advances from our credit card to pay the mortgage and buy groceries and things like that. It was just a really hard time. And so I knew that I needed to do something, and I really wanted to do something from home because I wanted to keep homeschooling my kids. And besides that, with so many kids, by the time I got done paying for daycare and stuff, my salary would be gone. So I was laying on the couch because there was nothing else that I could do at that point. I was laying on the couch and I was like, God, there's got to be some way for this to turn around and turn out for my good. So I started doing some research online, and I don't even remember totally what I started searching, like what keywords I was using. I don't know if it was like working from home or something like that, or selling online. And I found Jim Cockrum, and I don't know if you are familiar with him or not, but I started reading his story about how that he had adopted a little girl from Guatemala, and spent 3 months, I think it was 3 months, over in Guatemala during the process, which, by the way, my daughter is adopted from Guatemala. So that kind of really caught my attention at the time. And he said that he would just go to a little cafe and log on to the internet, and he could still work from home and support his family while the entire family lived over in Guatemala for months. And I thought, okay, that is what I'm talking about. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to do that. And so I ended up reaching out to him. And, I mean, I had like zero money to invest in training at that point, and I had no idea what I was doing. And so I reached out to him, and I just explained that I had seen him and that I had really connected with his story and everything. And he ended up giving me like a 6-month membership to his I think it's Silent Team membership course or forum that they have. And I went in there. It was such a blessing because I just went in and learned everything I could. I mean, I just read everything that he had in there. And at the time, everybody was saying you should sell books on Amazon, and so I thought about doing that. I was not good at that. I tried to do that, and I love to read, and so I thought, oh, this will be easy. I'd love to go in bookstores and look around, and it's not the same. And I was really bad at it, and so yeah, my business didn't do very well for like the first month or so that I was doing it. And then one day I went into a support group that I was on, and I saw somebody post, and she said, well, a little bit of backstory, it's now Q4 when this is all happening. So like this is all in the fall, and now it's getting to be November when this happened. So I'm on this support group, and this lady said, oh my gosh, I'm just cleaning up on Amazon selling toys. And I went, you can sell toys on Amazon? I didn't know that. What in the world? So I started looking at selling toys on Amazon, and I thought, if she can do that, I can do that. And so I already had some toys listed on eBay that I was trying to sell. Not a whole lot, but I knew Christmas was coming. You know, it was time to sell toys and stuff. So I think I sold one of those toys on eBay, and then got a really, really nasty letter from the buyer because I sold it for more than what I bought it for at Walmart. And I think, yeah, so I think that I made like $7 or something on a $20 item, and she just, I mean, like personally ripped me apart for it and really attacked me. And so I thought, this is just not the way I want to do business. And so I took all my toys that I had listed on eBay, moved the listings over to Amazon, shipped them into FBA, and sold them for more money than I would have sold them for on eBay, and sold them within just a couple days of them hitting the warehouse. So I was like, sweet, this is what I want to do. This is great. And so I flew through my first Q4. And I don't remember, this might come up later in the questions, but I can't remember when I answered this, but my goal had been to make $1,000. I just wanted to make $1,000 during that entire Q4 season, and I just totally blew that out of the water. So I don't remember exactly how much that I made, but it was quite a bit more than that. And so then January hit, and I because I was new and I didn't really have a lot of support back then, I thought that, you know, the rest of the year was just all like Q4, and it was not. And so I
Yeah.
yeah, January hit, I had all these returns, and I kept watching my payout amount go down instead of up, and I was freaking out. And so I asked in that same support group if it was even possible to sell toys all year long and make money doing it. And I like got maybe 3 answers, and they all said the same thing. Well, sure, kids have birthdays all year long. And I'm like, okay, but that's like a one-time event. Like, I need these parents to be buying more than just one toy for me for the whole year to make this a living. So, you know, so anyway, I ended up figuring out kind of through trial and error mostly of how that I could actually sell toys all year long, and I've just been doing it ever since.
Cool. Okay. So toys are very profitable. I found that out too my first Q4, and it wasn't even really a full Q4. It was like right at the end. And I found I was going into Marshall's, and I found these Orbeez spas for like $20, and they were selling on Amazon anywhere from $75 to $125. So I was like in heaven, and that was it. That's when I was like, oh, I'm totally selling on Amazon. This is easy. So, okay, so my next question for you is, from your perspective, can you help people who are viewing this understand why you think selling on Amazon FBA works as a business model? And you did touch a little bit on how it's way better, or for you it was way better than eBay, but.
Yeah, the thing that I really believe that selling online works, period, if you can find what people want and you market it effectively. So as far as Amazon FBA, you've already got the power of Amazon behind you in their marketing. I don't ever really advertise what I'm selling because Amazon kind of does that for me. And so even people that don't have any idea that you can sell on Amazon know they can go to Amazon and buy stuff. So, so I think the thing I really personally love about Amazon FBA is the fact that you get to ship everything to the warehouse.
Yes.
And so it really, I know, it really allows people, I mean, you can live in a tiny, tiny apartment and still be able to have a huge amount of inventory because you're not the one storing it. And it just opens up a whole new world for people to really scale their business that otherwise may not have been able to do that.
Definitely. And my situation is not a tiny, tiny apartment, but it's like I laugh because my ex-husband would freak out when he'd come home and I'd have inventory all over the front room. But it's just momentarily, you know, at the most it lasts a day, and then that shipment is gone and out because it doesn't make money for you if it's sitting in your living room.
Right.
And I love that about it because it's like I don't have to have a stock. It's just my stock is not stored. It's here. It's not shipped from here. I'm not running to the post office and shipping things once it's sold. So I love it. Okay, so this is a fun question, and you kind of touched on it a little bit too. But how much money did you start with? Because I asked this so people will know if they themselves can actually do this business and make it work for themselves if they don't have a lot of money.
Right. And I think that's one thing that's really great about this business, because you don't have to start with a huge amount of money. You don't have to put up front for a, you know, brick and mortar storefront or pay employees or whatever. You can wait until, or if you are ever ready to do that kind of thing. I don't remember exactly how much money I started with, but it was probably just a couple $100. And I think, and I already said, you know, that I had done more than the $1,000 that I wanted to do. But I know that some people start just by selling things from around their homes if they have books they're not reading anymore, or even if they have new items that they don't want anymore. And I know a lot of people do that. I didn't really do that because, well, actually I did find a game one time that was worth a lot of money. For the most part, with 5 kids, most of my stuff was not worth selling anymore once if it had been in my house for very long. So just an honest moment there. Anybody with a lot of kids will understand.
Yeah, I
But
totally.
but I do think that it's important to know that you really can start with just a small amount of money, to not get discouraged, because it's more important that you grow your business wisely. I mean, it might take you a little bit longer to grow, but I've seen sellers who just they rush in like a bull in a china shop kind of thing, and they have thousands and thousands of dollars for inventory, and so, they just run in there and everybody's fascinated by their huge numbers and stuff, and then after like a few months, then all of a sudden you're not hearing from them anymore. And so, starting out like that really big way is not always the best way to do it. I mean, I know that some of those sellers go on and are successful, but so are some of the sellers who started out selling 3 books from off their bookshelf, and then, within a couple of years, they're doing $100,000, $200,000 in sales every year. So I think that it's important not to get discouraged when you see those big things. It might take a little bit longer for your business to grow, but it's not impossible. It's very doable.
Yeah, and as a mom or somebody who is looking to make money from home that doesn't have a lot of time or doesn't have a lot of money to invest, because I didn't when I started either. We were in the process of moving from one rental to another rental, and during that Q4, and it was just amazing, the potential that could happen. And I was just sitting there. I was so hooked. And side note, we were a blended family, so I had 5 kids too. So I totally get the whole, if something comes in the house, it's definitely not coming out of the house. So
Right.
how that kind
At
of,
least not in the same condition it came in.
yeah, definitely not in the same condition. Matter of fact, it was nice if the jeans didn't end up with holes in them for them to be passed down to somebody else. So yeah,
Right.
it's total that whole mom thing going with those,
Yeah.
making sure all those kids. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so my next question is, for would-be Amazon sellers, which question, in your opinion, would be the best one they would benefit from asking you personally, now that I have you right here?
Okay,
Captive.
well, I thought about this question a lot. Actually, it was kind of hard for me, this one, to answer, because the question I actually get the most when people find out what I do is how that I combine working from home and homeschooling, which probably is not going to reach like a broad spectrum of listeners. So I figured that probably wasn't the best one to use. But the one question that I get along with that is, a lot of people ask me when I tell them, I sell on Amazon, their next question is, oh, so you go to the store and you find something on clearance and then you sell that. And so I get that one a lot, and I know that there are a lot of sellers that clearance is pretty much all that they do. That's not me. I usually, believe it or not, I would say well over 50% of my items are not even on sale. I mean, let alone clearance. They're just full price. I just picked them up off the shelf and paid full price for them. So I think that it just depends on what products that you're selling. I mean, we're always excited if we find something on sale or clearance because it means more profit usually. But yeah, that's a question that I get a lot. And I also get a lot of people who, after they start selling, are questioning how to keep going when they run into obstacles. And so I think it's just really important to be around a really supportive group of other sellers that are going to encourage you, because everybody's going to run into obstacles. Everybody's going to have those days when they don't find anything to sell, or their inventory money runs out and they still, really needed to sell some other things or whatever. I mean, there's going to always be those things, but there's a definite learning curve to this business, and so I just really try to encourage people to keep going, even when they run against those obstacles, that, you know, it's not the end of the world if this is something they really want to do. And it's really a switch in mindset, I think, because I think that we are, as a whole, mostly taught from the time we're little that we're going to grow up, get a job, work for somebody else, 9 to 5, live for the weekend, then you retire, move to Florida, or, well, you're already in Las Vegas, so it's warm, but those of us in Ohio, we moved to Florida. And so I think that we have that mindset, and this business and this lifestyle is so different from that it really takes a little bit to push through that, especially when you run up against obstacles. The first thing to think is, oh, well, this doesn't work. There's no way that people are living off of this. And that's not true. So I think that is those questions. I guess that wasn't just one question, but those questions are the ones I get asked the most.
The more questions or the more answers, it's great. That's one thing that he could not see that you're talking, and I'm saying the one thing, and I should tell everybody what that one thing is he could not see, my ex could not see how this would work. He would see that I would send things in, and because he wouldn't, and actually it wasn't necessarily that he couldn't see how it was working, he wouldn't take the time to sit down for me to show him how it was working. All he saw was this inventory coming in the house and then sending it out and going, where is she getting all this money to spend on this inventory? And the money was coming from the inventory that I had sent in already and already sold. And that is the beauty of it, is what you were talking about earlier, is if you have the right mindset, you can make it happen. And if you're setting these goals and these little goals for yourself, it's pretty awesome. And the more goals you set for yourself, the more you'll see it happen, and it's tiny, and you make them. And like you were saying earlier, with some of the people who come in and don't have a lot of money versus the people that have tons of money to invest and go for it. And because I think when you have like an unlimited amount, which maybe 10,000 isn't an unlimited amount, but to some sellers, small sellers like me who had started out, that was a lot of amount. But when you have that amount of money, you're like, oh, there's profit in this. Let's just send it in. Let's just buy it. Let's just get as much inventory in as we can, versus buying those smart buys and stuff like that. And I agree with you on the clearance too. I like clearance, but I usually find for every time earphone dropped. Every time I find something pretty awesome on clearance and I buy it, somebody else has found that too. Multiple somebody else's have found that. And then by the time mine gets in there, it's like all of a sudden tanked. So, yeah. So, but what I do love is going in and finding a full price item, whether it's a toy or household, beauty, whatever, and scanning it, and it's selling for like 5 times what it's worth. I mean, in the retail store. So yeah. Okay. So next, let's see. Up next question. Okay. Where am I? I lost my pen. Okay. So what is your perspective and strategy for success with Amazon?
Okay. I pretty much found my niche early on. And so I think that is a big thing to do, that if you can find that thing that you love to shop for, love to talk about, love to look at and think about and study and research, that's the thing to focus on for selling. I think that once that you do that, you get to be really good at it. And so it's not as hard of a job to do once that you kind of figure that out. And for me, like, I mean, I know that there's some people where that beauty is their niche and they could just talk about makeup like all day long. That is really not me at all. My eyes like glaze over and everything. And so I figured that that's probably the way they feel when I start talking about the awesome new Barbie movie that's coming out and how cute it is and all the cute stuff they're going to have to sell and what's going to be good. So everybody has that thing that they just really love. And I think, like, for me, my niche really is, it's toys and kids stuff. So it's not just toys, but I found after a while that, like, I would go through health and beauty and end up being drawn to the bathtub paint or the kids' toothpaste, and I would go to the home department and only look at the kids' sheet sets and things. Even in clothing, I do the same thing. And so once that I kind of figured out that that was really where my passion was and what I really wanted to do, it got a lot easier to kind of focus and really hone in on that to be more successful than if I was trying to, pull from all these different things. Because for me, makeup is really confusing. And so I wear makeup, but I tend to pick something that I like, and I just don't ever try anything else. So it's kind of like when I go to a restaurant and I just eat one thing. But so with toys, I got to the point where like I was good at spotting the good stuff. But if you sent me into the beauty department, I would just spend hours and hours and hours and not find anything. And I would think, how are people finding stuff to sell in here? This is ridiculous. There's 50 million lipsticks. How did they know that that one lipstick color was the one that was good? So I think that that is my strategy for success, at least, to just really find that thing that you're passionate about, that you could look at, talk about, shop for, research, and you never get tired of it, to focus on that and learn all that you can.
Yeah, and then having like a little kid too, because sometimes I have to take Dallas with me sourcing, and she'll pick up toys that I would never have scanned, and
Yes.
there'll be like money. So, and I think Alyssa goes with you once in a while too and helps you scan too.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and she watches YouTube videos for me, and she'll come and tell me, like, Mom, I saw this. This is coming out. They said it's in November of 2015 or whatever. So, yeah, she's
like
good for that, research.
research assistant. See,
Right.
pretty awesome. So, I lost my train of thought there for a second, so we're just going to move on to the next question.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no. Actually, I remember beauty, health and beauty. I mean, beauty products. I'm bad, too, because I'm, like, lazy. If I wake up and I've got eyeliner and mascara on, I'm getting, that's it. But ask me about concealer. You know how they have the different shades of makeup now where it's like, the face, it'll be like a dark concealer and then a light concealer, and then they use those makeup bullets to blend in and highlight
Right.
different. So don't talk to me about that because I have no clue. It's like, so yeah, having an area just like online, because I remember I started out as a virtual assistant online, and they used to see, because I wanted to do everything. I wanted to be the WordPress chick, not the WordPress chick, the WordPress installation customized person. I also wanted to do the webinars. I also wanted to do, for the book launches, I wanted to be the VA for that. I had all those services. But the problem with that is, what is the word of it? Jack of all trades, master,
Master
that
of
was the
none.
problem. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why it's kind of neat when you have this whole niche where you're good at, and you can go and you can find, and you're making that living off of, and it has a little, it's kind of like an octopus because it does have its little shoots of legs,
Right.
but it's still very centered on that one topic. Okay, that's what I was going to say. Okay, and then one of the first things people ask is, what do they sell when they're new, and what do you say to them?
That was kind of part of my answer from the last one, I think, too,
Yeah,
was to find that thing that you really love, but also realizing, which I think is coming up later on, that we'll talk about gated categories, but realizing as you're like a brand new seller, there are some things that you're just not allowed to sell yet until you prove yourself. So that's one great thing about toys. You don't have to be approved for that. You don't have to be approved for the home department. And so if you can find some things to sell there, as you're finding, maybe your niche really is beauty products, but until you get to that point, find some other things to sell so you can prove to Amazon that, you're not going to mess over their customers, and you're going to follow the rules, and you know what you're doing. And then you can get ungated in those other closed categories, and then sell the stuff that you really, really want to sell. But Generally, I tell them just to start out with those things that are fairly easy to sell and in one of the ungated categories to get traction as they figure out what they really are passionate about doing.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed too, because I remember when the first time I went out sourcing, I went to a Big Lots, and I remember one of the things that we in the were taught is to go scan everything, and I was scanning and scanning, and I wasn't really finding anything, and I was in the baby section, and baby is like one of those categories where you're like, ah, right? So so I found this tippy cup, and it was a Mikai. Oh God, Mikai Hound. Am I saying that right? You know,
I
it's
don't
an old
know.
Nickelodeon cartoon.
Oh,
Mikai.
Kylan?
Yeah, that.
Kylan, okay.
Yeah. So I found this tippy, and I can't remember how. All I know is like it was an awesome find. It was like the best find ever. So I sent that in, and then but like I said, it was just that one thing, and I was scanning for a while. So what my point is, most people don't realize when you're doing retail arbitrage, you're not going to go into a store and just pick up the first thing and scan and find profit. It is work. Like
Yes.
work from home. It is work. So
Right.
you are out looking for products, and it is working. So my earphone won't stay in because of my tragus. Sorry about that. And I totally lost what point I was going with that. And I do that. I go down rabbit holes. So we're just going to go back to the questions.
Okay, I'm good with that.
So tools. I love tools. Tools are awesome. So what tools are you using the most in your Amazon business?
Okay. Well, I am pretty low tech. So I thought of 3 things other than, the standard boxes and tape and stuff like that everybody uses. The biggest thing, and it took me a long time, I'm also a little resistant to change in there too. It took me a long time to jump on board with it, but once I did, I'm totally sold. But the biggest thing I use is Inventory Lab, which is like an accounting listing service for anybody that doesn't know. And it depends on what your accountant wants to see for your business records. My accountant wants me to have the accrual method. So I have to list line by line each item's profit or loss or whatever, hopefully not loss, but every once in a while. And so I have to list that line by line. Well, until I got Inventory Lab, I was doing that by hand, transferring the information from Amazon to an Excel spreadsheet, and it literally took me days, probably weeks of time out of every year to do that much bookkeeping. So
I remember seeing those posts too.
Yes, I mean, for real, it was crazy.
I'm not going to be around, and Beth would not surface for days. She'd be gone. Like, where's she at?
Yeah, that's true. It was horrible. So I did jump on board slowly to Inventory Lab, and now there's no way that I could go back. I hope that they never stop.
I would cry. I would die. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I would say that it's like it's almost like an essential right when you start. Just go get your free trial. Just do Inventory Lab and just go from there, and don't worry about it. Because I think I got it when I was 3 months into selling when I got it, and I was like, I should have done it to begin with. Because it makes your life so easy, and the shipping the batches and everything. It's like, yes, it's awesome. Which reminds me of somebody else I got to put on the list now too. Okay, so go ahead. I'm sure you have other tools. I'm sorry, I get sidetracked sometimes.
I do have just a couple other tools. I do, for my scanning app, I just use Scoutify, which comes with Inventory Lab. It's their service to scan things when I'm in the store, and I use Amazon Seller app, which is another scanning product, to check to see if anything is restricted, which was really helpful when we were scanning Star Wars toys earlier this week. So, yeah, I am going to go through the process to get ungated for that, actually. So we'll see how it goes. Um, but I also use the only other thing, I mean, I know, like for real, I am really low tech. So I just use my phone. I have an outside battery charger that I use if my phone dies. Yes, exactly, just like that. Which kind of looks weird because then I'm like all hooked up to wires when I'm
Mm-hmm.
out in the store. But and then I just use, we recently got like a scanner at home so that when we're listing into Inventory Lab, we just scan the barcode and it automatically puts it into Inventory Lab. Before we just typed the UPCs in there.
Right. And oh,
That's
the
it.
scanner is faster, isn't it?
It is so much
Yeah.
faster.
I got my
Yes.
cousin started selling, and she's like, "Oh, I went to her house and looked at her setup, and I'm like, why do you have that?" And she goes, "Because I'm not entering all those numbers in by hand." I'm like, oh, scan.
Right.
And it was like she showed me. I'm like, oh yeah, what am I doing that for? And I think it's like,
Right.
oh, $20. It's like, really? So
Yes.
the only thing that I use in addition, and it's because I started scanning on that, and I have the Scatify, but I just like the way Profit Bandit looks better, and I don't know why. So
Yeah.
I have it. I will go into Scatify if Profit Bandit is acting up or if the Wi-Fi where I am isn't working correctly. Um, but yeah, for the most part, those
Yeah.
are
And
yeah.
and I did have Profit Bandit before, but once inventory came out with Scatify, then I just went to that because it was, but I mean, honestly, I know everybody was upset when Profit Bandit started charging for their service, but I mean, for
$10.
real, you can easily pay for that monthly fee in just one good find. So it's not that. It was just easier, I think, to
Yeah.
just do Scatify, and I was fine.
Yeah,
But
I need to use it more since I have it. It's just, I'm like, I'm not totally resistant to change like you are, but sometimes I'm just like, I get attached to things and I'm like, nah, I'm using it still. So yeah,
yeah.
I have them both. So now we're going to talk about why Amazon has gated categories and when should a new seller apply to get ungated, which you kind of touched on. But really, what's the benefit of Amazon having those gated categories?
I know that gated categories is kind of controversial because sellers tend to fall either on one of two sides where they're just really upset about it, mad that Amazon did that, or they're really glad that Amazon did that. So I kind of fall in between. I'm not mad about it because I don't hardly ever get mad about stuff really, but I mean, I know that there's reason for it, even though it's kind of a pain. So I think that was last year when there was like a period of a couple of months, I think, when Amazon really got slammed in the media. There were people going on, I think it was CNN or something like that, and having interviews about how that they had bought knockoff medications on Amazon, and then of course, you know, in the seller community, it was very well known about all the counterfeit Disney Frozen items that were put out, and Amazon somehow ended up shipping some of those themselves. And so, you know, reviews came in, and the product page was flooded with people saying, you know, don't buy this, it's a knockoff. And the thing is that, you know, if Amazon gets a bad reputation, it hurts all of us. And so we really do, even though it's harder for us if we have to go through the process, you know, I'm not particularly thrilled about going through the process to get ungated for Star Wars, but it does keep competition down because there's a lot of people who won't want to do it. But also, I mean, it just really helps keep all of us safe. And so as long as Amazon is doing well, we all do well. And I
Right.
think that's important. And I think that as long as you're running your business ethically and following Amazon's rules, there's really no reason to get like really upset about it. Just do whatever that they're telling you to do to the best that you can. Most gated categories give you multiple chances to get approved. Disney Frozen, I think, only gave you one chance to get approved. I'm not sure about Star Wars yet. We'll see if I get approved or not. But I think everything else, like grocery, health and beauty, clothing, I don't know how many times I applied for clothing and changed my pictures and all this stuff. So all of those kind of categories usually give you multiple chances to get approved. So there's really no harm in just going through the process so that you can open up more opportunity for yourself to sell. And there's so many sellers that won't try it, and they see, oh, well, I can't sell groceries, so I'm just going to move on to something else. And so it really limited competition for a long time in those categories. But as far as like when they should be trying to get approved, I usually, when I'm helping people, I tell them to wait probably about 3 to 6 months, just so that you have some background and that Amazon can look at your feedback and your metrics, your seller metrics, just so that they know, okay, this is a seller who's going to follow our rules, who knows how to take care of a customer. They're not going to be listing products that are getting a lot of complaints, things like that, because they're going to look at that. When I did the Disney Frozen approval, they actually looked at my account first and told me that I was allowed to apply only because my seller metrics were good. So, so that's kind of important.
Yeah, and I remember that one of the reasons too why I think some of the gated categories started becoming gated, and this is just my own little dig. Every once in a while, it's fun to do a little dig. But I think one of the reasons too why health and personal and beauty all of a sudden became gated is because a lot of private label people came in from a course that was being taught. And so a lot of these people weren't there's some of the things that were just not outlined all the way, and I think that helped. And they were coming in with beauty products and white labeling them. So yeah, that's my little rant on that. It wasn't really a dig, it was just a little rant. So
yeah, not everybody will know what course that was, so it's
not
okay.
everybody, but that's okay. Okay, so anyways, back on track, Eleanor. So everybody has funny Amazon stories because, most people, if they don't know what you're doing, you get these weird comments like, wow, that's a lot of toilet paper. You're really going to use all of that? So tell me one of your most funniest Amazon, sourcing stories when you've been outsourcing, what people have said to you.
This was a hard one too, because I'm sure that there's been really funny stuff, because funny stuff happens to me all the time, but I couldn't think of anything. I was like, I can't think of anything except the one time that Seth's pants fell down when he was trying to get something off the shelf. So, and then being the good mom that I am, I stopped and took a picture. So, but yeah, I mean, I get a lot of, oh, are you stocking up? Are you, for birthdays and Christmas? I mean, they'll start asking me the Christmas questions in like February. And at one time though, I was shopping and I was scanning and I noticed that this lady kept really looking at me. But she wasn't a salesperson, so I couldn't figure out, like, why is she looking at me and kind of following me around? And so finally she said, is that telling you, like, where to buy stuff when you do that? Is there a better price in this store? And so I was like, oh, no, I'm not, that's not what I'm doing. And so I kind of had to explain it, and she really didn't understand, and it was kind of awkward, really. But I mean, otherwise, like, I don't know. It's probably just been stupid, embarrassing stuff that we've done to ourselves. Not really.
Yeah, the only time, there was just one time with me where it was like, will you please leave me alone? And I made up every kind of story I could make, and I kicked myself for making the story up because she stayed with me and stayed with me.
Yeah.
I was scanning beauty products, and this lady looked at me and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like looking at her like going, nope, no name badge, nothing. What do you care? care. Are you really going to buy all that stuff? Yeah. And then she's like, well, and she just wouldn't leave me alone. So I just said, I'm a personal shopper. And that'll teach you to tell a fib.
Right.
Because she would not leave me alone after that. And it was just like, you just want to just pull your own hair out.
Right.
So it's always funny. So now I just kind of like, depending on where I am, because like certain stores don't like us resellers. So depending on where I am, I just look and found a reseller. And then they look at me, and then all the other questions flow. And then kind of sometimes it just depends on my mood. If I'm kind of like in a hurry or whatever, I'm like, okay, this is what I do and how I do it. If you want to find out more, here's my business card. And I'm like, my
Nice.
business card has my website on it, and it has everybody's links to all their courses. So I'm like, just go there, and you'll find out how to do it. But if
Yes.
I'm not, I'm just kind of like, no, I'm just shopping. And so it just depends on my mood. But yeah, there's been I remember reading some stories where it's just like, did they really say that to you?
Yeah,
But,
I've never gotten any like really bad, like real super nosy people, but probably because I buy toys and not like health and beauty things or things that people, I mean, because it is sort of legitimate that I could be buying for a lot of kids or birthdays or stocking up for Christmas. So.
or yeah, just anything like that. Well, it was actually too. What was really funny for me too was she asked me. She goes, "Well, are they really going to use all that stuff?" And I'm looking at her.
Yes, they will.
I don't know. It's not really any of my business if they use it or not, as long as they pay me. I don't care. So I was just like going, yeah.
Now she wants to be a personal shopper.
Yeah, well, she's like, well, do you have a card? I'm like going, no. She goes, well, I really could have used your service. I'm going, oh, Eleanor, you told a fib, and now you're paying for it. So never, just be straightforward and say, it's like, and that's what I get for telling a fib. But she just was like, she was really interesting. She was really interesting. So there are also, so that's like a funny part of it, but poor Seth, I can't believe you took a picture of his pants down.
It wasn't. It was only like, it wasn't like all the way down to the ground, but still.
But did you use it for blackmail?
Yeah. It would be good for that.
It would, yeah. So most embarrassing purchase that a product the most embarrassing product that you bought that is, and probably like lots of money in the store, having tons of them.
Okay, so see, like in toys, there's really not that many embarrassing things to buy. But there was a time when Sam's Club had these prenatal vitamins that were doing really good, and I was making a lot of money on those. And so I would go in and buy like 8 or 10 boxes at a time, as many as they had. And because I already have 5 kids, I was always trying to like hide it underneath my stuff just in case, because I was always running into people that I knew. And so if they saw me with like all these boxes of prenatal vitamins, that would have started a really big rumor that I did not want going around. So yeah, I was always like, hide it under other stuff that I was buying. And yeah, so I didn't have it. Otherwise, like, yeah, the really embarrassing stuff is in health and beauty. So.
Yeah, yes. I do sell in health and beauty, and sometimes you find some really good, potentially priced things, and you're going, and then you'll find lots of them, and that's when you really get those weird looks, and you're like, yeah, I know. And it's kind of, but then sometimes it's fun to play with people, too.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at you, and you're like, yeah. So it's fun to kind of play with the conversation. It makes for a good story afterwards. Okay.
Right.
So tell me this. Let me do this really quick. It keeps showing up. Blab.im, another one of those fun streaming things. Yay. Okay. So tell me how selling on Amazon has changed your life.
Well, I kind of already told like the beginning of my story, and so this is kind of like the middle of my story since it's not really the end. But now I'm a single mom at this point in my life, and I only have 2 of my 5 kids left at home. I have a 17-year-old and a 9-year-old, and so I think that the awesome thing about Amazon has been that it has, through all of the transition that we've been through the last few years, it's allowed me to essentially keep my kids' home experience like basically the same. I was still a stay-at-home mom. I was just working when I was staying at home. I was still able to homeschool them. I was able to keep that kind of continuity through all the transition, and so that's really been a huge blessing. And I realized, which I've never really like totally known this, but I realize as I look at a lot of my friends on Facebook and I read what they're writing and how that, you know, they want to go to a school play, or they want to take time to go to the zoo, or, you know, they want to do something fun with their kids, but they can't because they have to work, or they have a meeting, or they have to ask off of work or something. And I thought, you know, I never have to do that. If I just want to drop everything in the middle of the day and go to the zoo with my daughter and some friends, I can do that. And then I can work later on. I never have to worry about, like, you know, oh, we have this practice to go to, or, you know, there's this meeting at church or whatever. I never have to worry about whether that I'm actually going to be able to do that, because I'm the one who sets my schedule. And so it's, you know, I mean, I live very simply, but I mean, this business has enabled me to live and still have the time and the freedom to be really present with my kids. And because, you know, they grow up really fast.
Yeah.
And so as I know now that my older kids are getting a lot older and getting married and all kind of stuff, but, you know, I think that's just been the best thing about this job. And looking back to 5 years ago when I was laying on the couch and with my foot up in the air and doing the research, I never really could have imagined that it would be something that would truly support my family and allow me to live the life that I want to live.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and you're right, it does go by really fast. My oldest will be 22 in October, so yeah, really quick, and that's what I love about it too, is because where else, I mean, I don't do homeschool because I just don't have the patience for it, but what other mom can say, yeah, I can draw at the drop of the hat. Oh, you need assistance in the classroom? Sure, here, I can come totally volunteer. I can, you know, be there, whatever, and this is bad, but it totally played an awesome part in my divorce. So the fact that I'm working from home and I'm here, you know, for her pretty much 24/7, and when she's here playing whatever, and I'm working right alongside her, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to interview Beth specifically was because in one way or another, like I said, she has mentored me in my Amazon journey, and this is a total side note too, with the fact that I've been selling on Amazon. It'll be 2 years this November that I've been selling on Amazon, and due to some of the personal things that were going on in my life at this crazy year, if I would not have had Amazon and that payout that was coming continuously, and if I had not put in the hard work that I put in the year before, and especially during Q4, I would have really been at, I mean, oh my goodness, that money that was coming in was saving me. In addition, so I love having it, and I love multiple streams of income. And this is just, Amazon's just one of them. Another one is affiliate marketing. And so everybody knows that online, I'm all about working from home, a mom that works from home, and I provide services, and I also do affiliate marketing, and I sell on Amazon. And that is one reason why I was like, come on, Beth, I got to do this interview because it's really awesome. People got to get to know you. And then this way I can give them my affiliate link after, because they're going to fall in love with you, and they know that they need to know all about selling toys for Q4 and how they're going to, like, you know, ramp it up. Come on. So I talked back into this interview, and I was super, super excited because that's what I do. I promote other people's products. Now, I promote products that I know I've either used personally, and I know the people, and I know that they're going to take care of my community, and Beth is definitely one of those people. Her and Seth. Seth is pretty awesome because I've been in both of their coaching groups for making. I'm going to say it wrong. You say it. Say it. What's the name of it?
Making big profits with toys outside of Q4.
There, see, I told you I was going to say it wrong. I was going to say something else completely different. And it's amazing because they walk you through the steps of how they do it. They share all kinds of good things. And today is September 7th, 2015. And if you're watching this after the fact and even after Q4 2015, it doesn't matter. But what I'm telling you, why I'm saying don't worry about that, because you can go back and find all of their cool trainings and other stuff. But what I was going to say, which I totally lost my train of thought, was she has this great success group that's coming for Q4. Okay, so that's what I was going to say. Q4 is definitely a time that you can ramp it up. And so they have, Beth and Seth have partnered with a really awesome guy named
Roger Tipping.
Yes, and so they have this really great Q4 group that's going to be, they're pre-selling right now, and it's going to go from October to the end of December, correct? And
yes.
lots of good stuff in it. So it doesn't matter if you are a brand new seller. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned seller. Being in these coaching groups are really great for Q4 because the more eyes and the more things that you can follow and the research, and you're learning how to research, the more finds you'll find. So it's almost like cloning yourself is the way I see it. I feel like I'm, in these groups and I've cloned myself. So not only they help you find things, but then once you start finding those things that they're showing you, then you can actually do additional research because it's like a starting point. And then you find like this toy that's really good or something that's really good in a specific category. Yeah, I was making those eyes earlier because that's the beauty of working from home. I don't know why I told the 22-year-old to be quiet, but she decided it was okay to blow dry her hair. I have no clue. But the whole point is you've got a team. It's like being on a team, and you're finding things, and you're able to profit from those things. And from those things that you're finding, you may actually scan other things around those things that you're specifically going into the store looking for, and hit a gold mine that nobody else is actually. I remember last year, I did that in the group, and I was finding products that most people that weren't shared within these groups, and because they were related to that specific toy or whatever, I was finding them and scanning them, and that was so. It's like having a map to look and direction, but then going on this little side trip down a rabbit hole that's like super awesome. Kind of like following Alice, following that rabbit down the hole, but finding cool stuff in addition to it. So I would highly recommend being part of that. And then I will have the link will be right here under me and Beth and exactly where to go. And then also you're going to want to use my coupon code or my reference code is what I'm trying to say it is. And it's just my name, Eleanor. And I don't think it matters if it's capital or lowercase, right? I think we're good either way.
I'm not sure. You might have to do it in uppercase.
Okay, so we're going to say all uppercase. And so I'll put that in there too, just to be safe. But you're definitely going to want to do it, even if no matter what level you choose. Let's talk about why Roger's really awesome addition to this group. And he's like the so if you like cake or cupcakes and you like buttercream frosting on top, he's like the buttercream frosting on top. But the cupcake is really good because it has like all the good gooey and maybe even the filling in it. That's kind of like Beth and Seth. But the frosting on top to make it even more, awesome. Yeah, I like food. So at least it wasn't a wine one this time, but
well, nobody wants cupcakes without frosting anyway, so it just makes the cupcake better.
Yeah, or maybe a dark chocolate cupcake with the buttercream frosting with a glass of red wine. I don't know. Either way, what he's doing, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. The whole benefit of having Roger is he's going to add a whole other area. So online arbitrage. So he's going to be helping them with online arbitrage. So not only are you going to be able to go out and find pretty awesome products because of all the research and the training and the coaching that's going on in this group with Beth and Seth, but also Roger's pulling in this added awesome stuff. So there's different levels. So depending on which level you do choose to be part of in this sourcing group, that's depending on where you will access Roger too. So just so everybody knows. But I see it as another way of maximizing your time, because you can't be out shopping every day depending on, so let's just take a couple of different scenarios. Let's just say you work full-time from home and you still have, and not from home, full-time job. So you have a full-time outside of the home job, and you are, your sister's in the room, go ask her. You don't have the time to get out and go sourcing. So you can sit and order at night and then have that stuff come to you and multiply your time. Then the other way, you know, it's just you're cloning yourself, because you can't be at every store either. And if you're out shopping and you're buying products, and then you're also grabbing the items that are being shared online and pulled in, then you're having stuff come to you, and then when you're shipping constantly during Q4, it's just going to double your effort. So it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And so let me just make sure I've said everything I want to say. And so let me just recap really quick. I usually don't promote people that I don't like. I don't, because I value my community, and I want to make sure that they're also adding value and that you guys are going to be in great hands. And the whole thing with Amazon, the reason, and this is just a little side trip with me, is the whole reason besides that with Amazon that I like working from when I have multiple stream of income, the whole reason I had started it, and now my why is going to be a totally different why, was because I wanted to work my husband out of a job when we were married. And I wanted him to be able to be home. I wanted more time with him. And I saw other families doing this and being able to do that together. And that's why I wanted to do it. Now, my goal with it, my why is different. My why is because I want to be self-sustainable with my family, that my new family dynamics that are here now. So no matter what your why is, if you use the tools or the success groups that are out there and learn from other people's stories, then you're going to succeed. And I lost my train of thought because she keeps putting a note in front of me and I'm not reading her notes. So kids are wonderful. That is right. Awesome. But anyway, so okay, I think the reason why I was saying all that was because I wanted to make sure that you all knew. Full disclosure, this is an affiliate link. There we go. That's the whole story behind that one, is as anything I do or anything when you come into my site and you see it is pretty much guaranteed going to be 95%, or no, I should say 99.9% an affiliate link, and I will make a commission from it. So I just want to say thank you if you do click on it and come in to the groups, or you find awesome people like Beth through my blog in regards to selling on Amazon. Then that's just, I'm letting you know I'm getting a kickback, but I'm making sure you're in good hands. There, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah. And let me just make sure before, like I said, okay, so then the videos, the link will be under the video after that. And that's yeah, I guess that's it. I can't think of anything else to say other than thank you so much for joining me. And then, like I said, I told you live video is fun because it shows more of your personality, and then that way people get to know you too.
Right.
And they see you. Give me the note. And they see you, and they know that they can actually do it themselves too. And if you can do it from home and do it, then you definitely. All that just for a mouse. You can definitely do it, and that's the beauty of it. So as you see, all this is also fun too, because, like I said, the blow dryer, the mouse, the dog, the other little noises. And Beth was all like, it's not going to be quiet. It's not going to be, I have to tell the kids. And usually I can scare my kids to death and they won't make any noises. But for some reason today, they're like, yeah, whatever. It's a webinar. We're good. Let's just go with it. But that, again, that is the beauty of working from home and doing what you love. So that's about it. So, like I said, all the links are down there below, and you will be able to find Beth and connect with her and go from there. And whatever you do with your Amazon business, I hope you have much success this Q4 and reach whatever goals that you have. And thank you, Beth, for
I
coming and hanging out with me for an hour.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I did have fun, even though I was really nervous. So,
See, I told you, it's like a party. Just a party with
sure.
me and everybody else.
Nice. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, perfect. Okay, so